Hey everyone, in this video we're going to take a look at part 2 of the Hercules story from Ritchie's Fabulae Faciles. So this part is called Hercules and the Serpents, and you can tell from the name it's picking up right where we left off in part 1. So in part 1, the hatred of Juno, we saw that Juno, who is not Hercules' mom, right, but more like his stepmom who hates him, had sent down serpents to kill him, right? Because he is the son of Zeus with another woman, right? So in this part, we're going to pick up with that story, and you're going to see how Herc reacts to these snakes coming in to try to kill him, okay? So we pick up the story right here with Iphicles, frater Hercules, magna voce exclamavit. So you have Iphicles, right, who's the brother of Hercules. Remember in part 1 we said Hercules has a brother who's also in the room with him? This is his brother Iphicles, right? He exclamavit, he shouted out in a magna voce, with a loud voice or in a loud voice. It's explaining how he shouted, right? So ablative case. So he saw the snakes and he shouted in a loud voice. Then you have said Hercules ipse, fortissimus puer, haudquaquam, territus est. So you have the brother shouts out because he's afraid, but Hercules himself, and he's described as the fortissimus puer, the strongest boy or the bravest boy, right? Haudquaquam means something like barely or not at all. Territus est is the perfect tense passive voice of the verb to be afraid, right? So, to terrify. So you could say he was not terrified at all, right? That's really the translation here. And you can tell because you have territus, remember it's a fourth principal part, the participial form, and you have the present tense of the verb to be going with it. So that's why it's perfect tense passive voice. He was terrified, haudquaquam, not at all, right? So he's not afraid because he's the bravest boy and he is a demigod, right? So he's not actually afraid of these snakes. Then you have parvis manibus, serpentēs statum prehendit, et colla earum magna vi compressit. So you have prendit, right? He kind of grabs immediately the serpentēs, right? So he grabs the snakes when he sees them. And then you have parvis manibus with his little hands, right? With his parvis manibus, with his small hands. Again, we have the ablative just showing how he did it, right? So with his little baby hands, he grabbed them and compressed it. He compressed or he squeezed the colla, the necks, right? That's neuter plural, and it's accusative. So he squeezed the necks of them, earum. There's your genitive plural, meaning of the snakes. And he did it magna vi, with great force, right? Or with a great force. Again, just an ablative of manner. It's describing how he did this, right? So he squeezed their necks and he's basically killing them, is the idea. And again, he's super strong because he is a demigod. Then you have Tāli modo, serpentēs a puero interfectae sunt, rather. So you have the serpents, right? The serpentēs, interfectae sunt. Again, it's perfect tense passive voice. So they were killed, right? They were killed by who? A puero, right? By the boy. Right, that it's the ablative of agent here on who killed them. And again, that verb to kill, you have interfectae. It's just a very common verb for killing someone. And here we just have the perfect passive, right? So they were killed by the boy, Tāli modo, in such a way. So that Tāli modo, again, is the ablative of manner. Again, just describing how the snakes were killed by Hercules, right? In this way or in such a way, they were killed, meaning they got their throats kind of squeezed until they were dead by Hercules, right? Because he is super strong. Then you have Alcmena autem mater puerorum clamorum audiverat, et maritum suum e somno excitaverat. So here we have Alcmene, right, or Alcmena here in this translation, however, the mater puerorum, the mother of the boys, right? She audiverat, she heard the shout, the clamorum, or she had heard, I guess you could say, the shout, and excitaverat, she had woken up her maritum, her husband, right, from sleep. And remember, Zeus is not her husband. It's just who she happened to have Hercules with. So she wakes her husband up, a somno, from sleep, because she heard the shout coming from the boys, okay? Remember, this is in their bedroom. So ille here is referring to the maritum, the husband. So ille lumen accendit et gladium suum rapuit. Okay, so what does the father do, right? He accendit. So he's going to light, right? Accendere, meaning to kindle or to light. The lumen, a torch, right? So he lights a torch so he could see. And he rapuit, he grabs his gladium, right? Gladium suum, his sword. Okay, so he hears the shout. It's a dark room. He kind of kindles or lights this torch, and he grabs his sword to defend the boys. Then you have tum ad pueros properabat, sed ubi ad locum venit rem miram vidit. Hercules enim ridebat et serpentes mortuas monstrabat. So properabat, he was hustling or hastening, right? Ad pueros, to the boys, just accusative. So then he was hastening to the boys. But when venit, right, ubi venit, when he came ad locum, to that place, meaning to the boys, right, vidit, he saw a rem miram, a miraculous thing or situation, right? Rem is always one of those words that it's kind of hard to translate into English, but you could say thing, I guess, would kind of work the best here. So he saw this miracle, right, this miraculous thing. What did he see? He saw Hercules, right, ridebat. Hercules was laughing, and monstrabat, he was showing or kind of holding up to show the serpentēs mortuas, the dead snakes, right? So the dad walks in, or runs over to them thinking that he's going to find, something horrible happening to his children. And then he sees this craziness of little infant Hercules holding up 2 dead snakes because he snapped their necks, right? He crushed them. So this part of the story is a really interesting way to get your start on who Hercules was and his backstory. You can see here he's super strong, he's super brave, even as an infant, right? He's already showing these qualities that'll become his characteristics for the rest of his life. And as he goes through the 12 labors, right? You can already see he's very brave, superhuman strength, and that's what this is all about, right? He has this stepmom trying to kill him, but because he is a demigod, he's not going to be killed by these snakes. Okay, so the Latin here, again, very straightforward. This section doesn't have anything particularly crazy in it, so hopefully it was pretty straightforward for you to read and understand. And again, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're reading this and listening to it. If you can find someone in class to read it back to you, have them read it just so you can let it wash over you without necessarily translating it word for word. Try to read it and understand it first, and then you can always go back and fill in the grammar after. So hopefully it made sense. If you have any questions at all or anything about this story that you want answered, feel free to put them in the comments. But otherwise, just keep reading it, keep practicing, and you should do fine. Good luck.